and second passportship for overseas Pakistanis. Our core sponsors are Lalani Associates, Symphotex, Elliott Hadi Shahid Chartered Accountants, and the Pakistani Business Council. Our honourable speakers for today's event are Mr. Sikandra Lalani. He is a seasoned chartered accountant and an authorised immigration consultant. And our second speaker is Mr. Ashraf Yusuf Tola. He is a member of the Tax Reform Implementation Commission. We will commence the session with a recitation of the Holy Quran verses by Mr. Muhammad Aleem. May I please ask Mr. Muhammad Aleem to come to the stage, please. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Mr. Iskandar Sultan Khawaja, the Director of Pakistan Business Council, to come onto the stage and share his valuable views. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for giving me this place. I would like to welcome our valuable speakers who have come from Pakistan. And the topic for today is very, very important. And in fact, we were waiting for this topic. And we were asking our friends, whom should we invite? So let me give you a background of Pakistan Business Council for those of you who do not know Pakistan Business Council. Pakistanis are the second largest business community in the UAE after Indians, of course. The Pakistan Business Council was formed in the year 2004 under the guidance of Dubai Chamber of Commerce. Dubai Chamber of Commerce has got over 40 different countries' business councils. And alhamdulillah, ours is one of the vibrant business council. We hold events on every topic all year around. And we are very happy to be part and parcel of this event organized by the sponsors. I'm sure they would come and tell you more about the sponsors. So I welcome you all and thank you very much.
So now we will start today's session on new tax reform and second passportship for overseas Pakistanis. May I request our honourable speaker, Mr. Sikandra Lalani, to come onto the stage, please.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for inviting me, and I'll try to speak both in English and a little bit Urdu. Is sort of a way I go, but I'll basically will speak in English. Thank you to our local partner, Sayyid Asif Zaman and his firm, and thank you to Pakistan Business Council to be part of this event. Basically, my topic came in because, as we all know, tax amnesty has been declared by the government of Pakistan for the assets until April 8, 2018, and the undeclared income for all Pakistani citizens, and take this opportunity. Here, the opportunity is for your past deeds. whatever you have not declared, either your income, domestic asset, or foreign asset, and you wish to declare to avoid any penalty or persecution, right? And you pay a very modest, extremely modest, and I'll congratulate Ashfaq and his team, who were the committee, tax committee, and coming up with the proposal of such a modest payment in comparison to especially India. Definitely, I heard Indonesia has come up with no sort of a payment amnesty program, where India came with 45%. The way this committee worked was excellent. In fact, they've been criticized by a lot of other Pakistani citizens based on the principle of equity. Okay, if somebody's been paying higher taxes all his life, why this amnesty coming for those who were not honest? In spite of all this criticism, this committee been able to convince the political leadership at the time that okay, this is the only way to come up for the new beginning. And I'm really again congratulate this team of coming with such a, no doubt, there are a lot of small here and there questions and things, lacuna left out by the bureaucrats in final drafting the law by the law ministry and FBR. There are still some of them, and State Bank, things are being worked out still as of today. But principally this scheme, I personally believe is a good approach if somebody says, Purane guna maaf karwa lo apne, right? And if I were in the part and I've been asked, I would honestly tell them, कि don't make 5, 3 or 2, make it 2.5% so that zakat do aur jaan chhadwa lo. You know, whatever you did the past misdeeds, if ever you have done it, by intent or no intent, by mistake, just pay this and come up. And this is the modest one can think of it, okay? My jobs comes in as a professional. Definitely, I love my country. I'm a nationalist too, in spite of having a dual nationality on myself, but I love my country, my birthplace. But nevertheless, I'm a professional. I see what law permits me and my other countrymen to take advantage of the law within the parameters. By following the law of the land of the country you are citizen, as well as the country in you wish to be, and which could be favorable to your assets and income. That's your legitimate right. And one should be aware how to use that legitimate right, right? And then the option, whether you want to use that right or you don't want to use just your wish. But this is the tax planning tool, okay? So this is what I'm trying to say. To understand this basically, after declaration finishing on 30th June, which Mr. Ashfaq Tola and Shabaz Zaidi were there in ICAP seminar last week, okay, it's most likely not going to be extended, but still people have a hope they will be extended because still some clarities are outstanding. Say, it's June 30, 2018 is the day, let's assume. Thereafter, what are the options, planning tools available to my countrymen, and especially people who are non-residents? Agreed? Now, next slide, please. Before we enter into this domain, we have to first understand the tax residency concept. When the law will come and tax you. If you are taxed non-resident, you are not under law to declare your income to Pakistan, and we are talking in context of Pakistan, nor you are under law required to declare any asset to Pakistan government or tax authorities. That's the law. Then the question comes, who are tax non-resident? Right? Now, next slide. In most of the countries, I'm talking here including Pakistan. Now, Pakistan tax law says, if you're staying 183-day rule, if you're physically present for at least 1 3 days of the year in a particular country, you are counted as a resident for tax purpose. And if you're less than 183 days, you're tax non-resident. Right? This law changed before 79. There was a tax resident, but not ordinary resident. There were little complications. Now, if my old colleagues, chartered accountants, would watch for me, at that time such laws were there. But then, I think so in the term of Mehbubullah Haq, the clarity further came, it's tax and a non-tax resident, period. If you're not physically present in Pakistan for more than 182 days, you're not a tax resident. Accordingly, you will be taxed only on Pakistani income. Period. There are misconceptions in my non-resident friends, businessmen and friends and colleagues here, कि ओ मेरा तो ये रह गया तो मेरा तो अरे बाबा तुम पे टैक्स है ही नहीं, तुम क्यों परेशान होता है? First, you see whether that law affects you or not. That's the main point. If it affects, then we see what are the solutions. Definitely, amnesty is there. But then there are situations when you were tax non-resident previously, now you become a tax resident, then you say your earning wasn't during the non-tax residency period. There are ways to handle it under the law. The first we will see those, my non-residents colleagues, most of here are here. If you have not spent 183 days in Pakistan, you are not tax resident for a period, we have to see. The one concept my tax non-resident friends see is the relief, first part. The second part, where I want my friends to be assured and feel free, under Pakistani income tax law, income before last 5 years normally will not be reopened. Or practically 6 years, theoretically called 5-year rule, but practically 6 years, because the officer cannot come and open. You can take shelter in that too. Now you look into your 5-year regime and see what you have declared or what you have not declared. If you're not declared, are you supposed to declare? If yes, must declare. We all must follow the law of the land, period. Whatever is the law, we must follow. Right or wrong, we should not go into that debate. That's the legislature or assembly to debate. Or nowadays, the court to debate. We have to look from that perspective. And you declare. Next. Now I'll come to, after this basic distinction, I made it and make the life of my non-resident friends and colleagues easy. What are the tax-free countries? Pakistan only taxed the tax residents. We got it clarity on that. And we should be worried about last 5 years. That is cleared. Tax non-resident does not have to show foreign assets under 116A. Only tax resident has to show. That also we got the clarity. Now, who are the tax-free countries? These are the tax-free countries, as you all know. In UAE, you're not paying income tax. VAT is a consumption tax. It's not an income tax. Now we are talking of income tax. And these are the countries. So if you're a resident of these countries, you're the lucky ones. and you're not spending 183 days in Pakistan in a year, no exposure. If in the foreseeable future or whatever in the past. Next, please. Then why Mr. Lalani is here to say about second passport? We already have residency of UAE. We have never stayed 183 days in Pakistan. We have no exposure. 99% yes. You have no exposure, to the best of my knowledge. I'm not a practicing accountant, please, don't misunderstand. I left my practicing in 1992-93 accounting and gave it to Thola to look into and explore that world. I'm exploring other world. I did practice from 1980-81 to 92-93, so I have a basic concepts what it comes around. Why these countries? Those who still believe, God forbid, law will change, Supreme Court will take the suo motu, something goes wrong, right? The new government, Imran Khan, will come with the new legislature and still want to protect little more than supposed to be done. There are people in the world who are more conservative than the accountants and want to protect, fair enough. Yes. Then you can have a second nationality of the countries where you are not taxed because you're tax non-resident of that, and you get the passport of those countries. I can get a passport of, say, St. Kitts and Nevis, let's assume. I'm not residing because that law does not require me to reside there to be a passport holder. Agreed? So I'm getting another passport. If you, I'm not please advising you to do that, but I'm saying there's a tool. Be careful. And you believe, and the law allows you to be dual national, let's assume. And you have a financial instruments or banking accounts and all those things, and you don't want a shadow of Pakistani passport goes on those assets and transactions. You go to your bank, I'm a Dubai resident, I'm a citizen of St. Kitts, period. You got a veil, another burqa laga diya aage, which are legally doable. You're not lying. You have a residency of the UAE, and nationality of you, you're putting a veil. God forbid you wish to do that. Or those, my Pakistani brothers, which I believe still there are some of my brothers and the friends which they should not do, but they will still not declare all their assets. This is my presumption. I pray I'm wrong. But the historical facts told me, no, Sikandar, you will be much more than right. Okay, all my Pakistani brothers and businessmen will not declare everything. Then they definitely needs a veil to hide their face, right? But I personally, honestly, believe in following the law. किसी ने ज़्यादा सिगरेट पी के कैंसर हो गया, इसका मतलब डॉक्टर्स को छोड़ दे? नहीं. There is a solution, we tell them. Now, protect. Second, those who are declaring even in the amnesty, totally 100%, but want to protect the future income from those assets. And being a tax non-resident, they're not liable, but still they want to put another veil in it. So they can do that by putting a second. Next. We all know CRS, Common Reporting Practice, has come up, OCEDs, right? And we all know that Pakistan has become signatory under pressure, not by desire to be, because our good politician friends who's absconding and staying in UK and somebody's are there, become the ministers and all bloody, they don't want to sign these documents. Now we have to document. And come September 2018, there is a likelihood to be exchange of, but of the financial assets, not the real estate asset as yet. I'm not saying you should not disclose, but I'm saying what law is saying, you must read that. Be protective of those assets. It means your bank balances, your stocks and bonds, and whatever the financial brokers works do. And in the, say, I go to the bank, in Dubai Islamic Bank, and I say I want to open my account. They say, okay, do you have Dubai residency? I say, yes, sir. This is my Dubai residency. He'll issue my checkbook, TIN numbers. They are now asking us to sign a paper which is FACTA and CRS together. Previously, they were making you sign only FACTA, which is, I'll come again on that part, and CRS form. Now, recently, they started from January 1st, signing of CRS form. Old accounts, they are not asking as yet. If you're going and opening a new account, then they're asking. And you say, I'm a Dubai resident. You show their residency. They ask you address. They ask you the nationality. Right? Always. If you have a second nationality, you give that which is a tax-free zone. Assume St. Kitts navies in other countries. You want to put a veil, you put it a veil. Or even UAE government, which have my doubts, I may be wrong. The US central bank will share all the information so easily. They will come with a lot of ifs and buts. And depending how good Pakistani delegate able to go to the council of OCID or CRS and insisting that they should, which I have my doubts because of the politicians and the bureaucrats are the people. Their assets are more here than others. But Allah kare, ye ho. Or ye declaration bhi hai, CRS ka. In that sense, the UAE central bank will ask all the commercial bank, as the state bank did to the Pakistani banks in case of FACTA, give us the information of all Pakistani nationals who are not UAE residents first, non-resident from the purpose of UAE and Pakistani national, and they will share that data. And to the best of my due diligence and information through the Central Bank of UAE, they're not going to share the information of Dubai residents or UAE residents. And that is not required under OECD too. Right? They are only required TIN number, tax residency. Tax identification number, if you recall it, the banks may have asked someone. Right? And some must be here, the banker who must be in the compliance department of the bank or a CFO of the bank here, sitting here. Those who are UAE, those who are UAE residents, to me should not be fearful. But nevertheless, you should follow the law of the land of Pakistan if you're a citizen of Pakistan. This goes without saying. Agree? What will happen on a FACTA now? CR is gone. Now talk on FACTA, the US law, which came in 2010, and then a lot of information, all the banks in the world who were so afraid of US, which they are still afraid of it, asking all their clients, please sign this document that you are not a tax US resident or a US citizen. And they made everybody new account holder or existing account holder to sign. CRS, they are just asking the new account holders. Think of it two similar laws. Because America बड़ा दादा है, तो उसने बोला है तो existing भी दस्तखत करेगा साला. And if it is FACTA, if it is CRS, only new account holders are being asked at present, which is my knowledge. I may be wrong, or they may do it later. Once the FATCA law came in, next, what happened? So many Americans, citizens, they renounced voluntarily their citizenship. They say, we don't want to be part of this declaration. Here comes, take it away. As is it, so many Americans and the Canadians, we call the northern people, used to have a citizenship of the Caribbean country for a tax planning tool. It's not a new tool I'm creating. It's there for decades. Or any other European country where tax residency concept is very crystal clear. Only America is a country where tax residency is based on PR status, not the physical residency. Whereas worldwide is on the physical day basis, or in Canada, there is a deemed tax residency. And some of the other European countries, including UK, has some deeming. Domicile, tax domicile. They come with the concept of tax domicile. Next. Now these are the famous people of US citizens. They gave up their citizenship of USA just because to do a tax planning. And we are lucky. Pakistan government is not asking, as long as you're tax non-resident, continue to enjoy. But you should be aware what are the steps to be taken in a planning phase to keep yourself away from the tax laws or tax penalties. Even, I think so Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg also moved to Singapore for his tax planning. And then he was asked to come back. Because then he was offered, because then they went into data issues and a lot of issues. So he doesn't want to expose himself too much on other things. But a lot of people do the tax planning. A lot of multinational companies, Intel, Google, they all do tax planning, and they go and move their money to Ireland under tax treaty. So tax planning is a legitimate legal tool to avoid or avoid tax, not evade tax. Next. UK legislation पे भी हम थोड़ी सी बात कर लेते हैं. Let's come. They are now trying to make in 2021 the law will come that any property is in UK which has been registered offshore trust must be declared. तो मेरे मियाँ साहब फंसेंगे थोड़े से और उधर जाके, because they all are under offshore trust, BVI or Panama or Paradise or whatever the names they are. And those companies have an assets in UK, the real estate assets. They're all trying to avoid and hide that. So under this rule, this will come. Only UK has come with attacking the real estate at this stage. And it's yet to come. It's not there, yet to come. And then next, everybody knows money laundering and money transfer on terrorism, they're coming. What I'm understanding under, even in this amnesty law, the State Bank and the Ministry of Finance and FBR are not allowing paying the tax amount through exchange companies or other than the relative is because of this. Then money laundering comes in. If you're doing from your family, this is the one fear they don't telling. If it's money coming from your account or relative, fair enough. But it's coming from the exchange company or unknown person, then the concept of money laundering may come in. And they are going on 26th or 28th there to explain that we are putting our laws in order not to come on a gray list. This is my fear. I'm not knowledgeable on that. I'm not saying it is because of it. I'm trying to correlate. Otherwise, in my wisdom, why should the government of Pakistan not accept money coming through banking channel for the tax amount to be deposited in the treasury, where the exchange company in Dubai pays that amount or remit that amount against the passport copy of remitter. Identification is there. All the money exchange companies send is through banking channel, wire transfer. Then why it's not been allowed? This is my fear or this is my assumption. Otherwise, identification is there. I go to money changer Al-Ansari, this is Sikandar Lalani, this is my passport. On my behalf, please make one wire transfer of $25,000 to the government treasury, National Bank of Pakistan, under this account. He's willing to do it, but the government is not accepting it. And my fear is government, without saying this, are worried about money laundering. And they may decide, after once they do the meeting with them, I don't know, and after extension may be or may not be. Otherwise, I don't see any reason, if I'm giving my identification, exchange coming sending by the wire transfer, why it cannot be accepted. Or the verse which I don't want to think, bureaucracy doesn't want this policy or this framework to go success, which is, I'm not thinking it could be ever. I'm thinking bureaucracy is on board to make it this success. Most of the people can't transfer the money just because of this lacuna. To the best of I have an accounting practice too, but my partner runs, and I have friends like Ashfaq Tola and Shabbar Zaidi. I ask them, how can person want to disclose his assets? Let's assume $100 million, and want to pay 5%, $5 million. He doesn't have a cash here because cash is outside. How can he remit? He doesn't want to disclose his own account or doesn't have the account, let's assume for a sec. So this is, the lacunas are there. Next. This is all related to it, and I don't want to. Now I'm coming to the countries, which is my domain basically, and I try to explain, okay, it is very legitimate to have a second citizenship. But there is an issue of Citizenship Act 1961 in Pakistan on some of the countries, majority of the countries. Only 19 countries has been recognized, has been notified to can have a dual nationality in Pakistan under Citizenship Act. 2 are negative list, India and Israel. Rest is the gray list. And one of the good constitutional lawyer in Pakistan, I have a respect for that person, and he represents a lot of big political figures in the Supreme Court. He says if government of Pakistan want to take away your citizenship, they must give a notice to you if they come to know in case you have dual nationality with a country other than 19 countries. So they're bound to give you a notice, okay, we have come to know you have remarried or you have a second wife, why don't take your first wife, get a divorce from you? The notice has to come, right? But what is happening, the country like Germany is not on the list of 19, or Norway is not on the list of 19. There's so many Pakistanis who are dual national and resident there too. And government has never ever given a notice to them. Either they don't have a political will to do that, or no have intent to do it, or doesn't have a time enough to look at that point. They're so busy with their own issues. Or this is since 1947, 48. They have added to some countries over a period of time. US was added later on. Iceland is added into it. And lately, last year, I think so, one of the Middle Eastern countries has been added. Must be some personal interest of some political figure and must have got it in. So this is what I'm trying to say. You can have a dual nationality, and it's a gray, except the 19 country, which include Canada and USA is a part of the 19 country, UK is a part of 19 country. But there are the bunch of the countries which we promote are not part of 19 countries. But we have not seen either. However, one of my clients has gone into Lahore High Court and claiming, and the case is still pending, Khalid Anwar is taking this case, he's running, that is fighting that case. My fundamental right is affected if you're giving to 19 countries, not to this country in which I'm a citizen. Unless you say that country's citizens are all criminals. My fundamental right. That case is with the Lahore High Court. Right? And I was told by Rashid Anwar, I'm taking the name because he's my lawyer, and he says, Sikandar, when the case went to the judge himself is a dual national with Canada. As such, judge says, I don't want to hear this. And I know Rashid, Khalid Bhai, they are super people. They're very upfront people. Okay, that's the reason, Sikandar, we can't move further. I said, then, say, okay, we are putting another request to the court. However, court has ordered, okay, whatever ask the government to do, so they are going to put to the court, okay, put a timeline, the government should act yes or no. Put a timeline to it. So they are going to put an application, another to the federal, the High Court of Lahore, or Punjab, whatever you call it. So this is what I'm saying on the nationality part. The products which we promote are Caribbean countries, the St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia. Then in Europe, we promote Bulgaria, Portugal, Malta, Cyprus. And Hungary, we used to promote residency, but they have stopped. They might come with a new law or new things to promote direct citizenship program in October, November. But they're still nationalists. They have some elections just gone through. Now they will sit down, win the election. They are always against the foreigners, but when elections comes out, they see the money, €500,000 coming in. They say, okay, look into it. I had the pleasure or not a pleasure of meeting those ministers and the prime ministers, how they react and how they see and how they say. Our ministers are not the only one breed. There are so many in different countries, similar breed. So don't worry on that. I'll get back. And North America, USA, and Canada. These are the countries we promote. Next. These are the 5 Caribbean. Next. These are the requirements, how you can obtain, how much money you have to pay, what documentation you may have to do. This is, I'm not going into it. I just put a slide, read out. No, if you want to detail meeting me in person, I don't want to waste everybody's time. Next. This is video, I think, so we should pass off because I have a limited time to come. These are the countries visa-free travels. Now, this is a little interesting. Because there are my clients who are high net worth, they get the visas too. It's not that they are not getting the visas to travel, but they need a convenience. घर में एक गाड़ी है, बीवी लेके सलून चली गई, और आप इंतजार करें, she will be back and then I'll travel. That's not good. You will say, hey, let's have a second car in the home. You take your car, I take my car whenever I need. So then you are keeping 2 passports. You don't have to go and get the stamping of visas and waiting for a week, 10 days, 15 days, 2 months, depending on the country to country. And you have your ready, you had a meeting last night, on telephonic meeting, and say, okay, let's meet in person in London, or say Zurich, or anywhere. You have a second passport, you took the ticket, you went up. That's the ease of doing business, ease of doing travel for pleasure, and a little relaxed mind. Yes. No wait time. That's the key. And normally, the more you become wealthy, more comforts, more luxury you look for. It's a human nature. You need a luxury. This is one luxury, I would say. Some of my clients comes, यार मेरे भाई को तुमने passport बना दिया, मेरा क्या? Luxury. Dekha dekhi, which we call it. Half of my clients is because of that, but there are some needs out there. He took his children for a vacation. I could not because my visas are not granted so soon. Allah kare, the worst scenario, I'm not darao guy. Khuda na khasta, Allah na kare. At any stage in our history, we are not in good terms with the superpower, the crazy guy. And somehow they try to make us example like Iran. God forbid. God forbid. Immigrants are there. Then how you will travel? How will you move? Today, Iranians cannot apply to so many countries because of worries from the Uncle Sam. Nobody is ready to take money from Iranian bank. What to talk? Standard Chartered paid that price, penalty huge, by doing business to the Iranians. God forbid, Allah na kare mere mulk ko kabhi is kisam ki situation mein aaye. Lekin possibility is there. Even 1%, there is a possibility. Because we are a nuclear state, we are not in good relations, it could happen anything. It's just to protect your legacy. Our slogan is, secure your legacy. Lalani slogan is secure your legacy. If you want to secure your legacy, have tools in with you. Only use when it is needed. Don't use, for the sake you don't like, but use when God forbid something. Why we insured ourselves sometime, our goods, not with the intent the ship will go down and I'll get the money. It says, in case happen, ship goes down, goods are lost, I get my cash flow is not affected, my running business will continue. Afsos phir bhi hota hai. This is how you have to look at, plan yourself. Provided you have resources to do. Provided you feel there is some risk to mitigate, you do it. Next. Again, this is a Caribbean country, Antigua, pass on please, all 5 countries. These are the list of the countries where you can travel without. And Grenada is one of the countries where you can travel to China, because a couple of my clients came, Chinese are now bothering us with the visa. Sikandar, what we should do? I said, take it Grenada. Travel to China without a visa. And China is my best friend, but still they were taking 3 months for the issuing the visa. At one stage came in. Okay, the invitation letter must come from this type of the manufacturer or blah, 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 blah. And they were bothered. Some of my clients took this second passport for their export managers who works in, you have to go to Africa, West Africa especially. The West African embassies in Islamabad is the worst. They take at least 3 months to process your paper and then they ask some money. Your business opportunity is gone. And with those passports, you can go to Western African countries and 120, 130, 140, depending on the passport. Next. This is Dominica is another island. They all, now let's understand the rationale. These small islands have no other resource than to sell themselves, to be very honest. They're not great countries. But in spite of being those 130, 120 countries in the world accept their citizen to arrive without a visa. They have absolutely no resources. Their politicians is not as corrupt, but reasonably corrupt. I told the Prime Minister too, when I had an encounter with him on asking some government officer. But still 120 countries accept their passport or citizen to enter their country. And ours, we are the 7th worst passport just because we have not done the right compliance. We are on the watch list of money anti-monitoring body. We are on the watch list of theirs and that. What's happening? Which we should not be. Next, please. Next, this is all countries. Next. Now comes to Canada. Canada and USA, two North American, I'll first mention in the next couple of minutes, are two countries where they say you come and settle and stay with us. Will be yours. Without physical residence, will not give. In those days, when you are physical resident, once you become a citizen, I'm taking a Canada, once you become a citizen, then you become a tax non-resident by leaving the country. But for the 3 or 4 years, when you are staying there, you are a tax resident. Then how are you going to do? Before there was an offshore trust tool plan, tax planning was available until 2002. Okay, you could create an offshore trust, put all your assets, income producing asset there, go to Canada, come back, take over the assets. And it was available. Since 2002, that's gone. What people are doing, they come to me, I said, one is that if you can park your assets with your nani, dadi, mom, dad, uncle, park your assets there, gift them out. No income, no tax. Gift is permissible under Pakistani law, no tax on that. When you come back, dadi give back to your children, not to you. And ultimately money will go to, assets will go to your children in our culture, or to your wife. Tax planning, simple, within the law. And in Canada, we did the tax planning for my client. Millions, worth $100 million clients, easily. Before 2002 was easy. It was a trust permissible under law. USA, no. You're once a resident, you are taxed for your life. However, the active income, earned income is certain portion up to 100,000 exempt, otherwise no. This is not for high net worth. This is for professionals who believe his income would be $100,000, $200,000. He pay 100 exemption, 50, 60,000 or 100, another 100,000. I pay some taxes to US. I'm protected. Children have a US passport. They can go to US, good schools. Whenever I retire, I'll go and retire and stay in Texas, pay only 20% tax. The Texas state has the lowest tax because there's only federal income tax, no state tax. There are tax planning tools, not in New York, where you have a federal tax, income tax, there's state income tax, there's a city income tax. You have to do right planning, that's all. And thank you very much for listening to me. I might have taken a little longer time. I'm extremely sorry for it. Any question, answers, I think so we do later on in 1-to-1. I don't want to consume my extremely good friend time, and I want him to come and explain what he did wonders for us through a tax reform committee and come up with such a good piece of legislature. And I hope everybody will take advantage of it for the past wrong deeds. Take care. Bye. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, Mr. Sikandar Lalani. We'd like to now ask Mr. Ashfaq Yusuf Tola onto the stage, please. Thank you.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. First of all, I'm extremely grateful to Pakistan Business Council and the organizers, including Asif Zaman, Dr. Saab, and I welcome Iqbal Bhai from Saudi Arabia. Let me first confess that Pakistan needs you. So be generous. Pakistan needs you because Pakistan's economy has no other dent except for the current account deficit, except for the trade deficit, except for the mismatch of my foreign exchange reserves. So in my humble view, we are doing right as far as my economy is concerned. My GDP is growing at a rate which it should be. Everything is under control. I'll not raise the slogan of that my bacha is makroos of 1,17,000 rupees. My bacha's GDP has also increased. And we all know that economic is a package. It cannot be viewed in isolation. If we want to see debt, we have to see GDP. Mind it, in last 5 years, we have increased the revenue from 1,913 billion rupees to, inshallah, probably on 30th June, 3,985 billion. So isn't it an achievement? We have. But where we are lacking on one front. And that is one of the core issue. That issue is my foreign exchange reserves. And why it is depleting. It is a big question mark. Do you think we can't grow at this pace where IMF is was certifying last year, until last year, Asian Development Bank was certifying, your Moody, Fitch, Standard & Poor, IBRD, JETRO. You just look at all the articles, all the reports. They all were very positive. What happened overnight? Yes, it was a big question mark for all of us, and it was really very difficult to answer. The journey of this tax amnesty began in 2014. My dear friend Sikandar Saab has rightly said that when this CSR, Common Reporting Standards, were started in 2014, and at the back of the mind, I was part of the core team, we had a look at it and we said, look, this is the avenue, and why that was the avenue? The avenue was because of the fact that Swiss Parliament has passed Return on Illicit Asset Act in 2010. And you can see on Archive and Geo that in a very good show of Kamran Khan, we had a session of 30 minutes and we discussed that law threadbarely. And according to that law, we have a right to claim our assets, provided we have a right kind of double taxation treaty. And that was not present. We tried our level best. Some of the countries bought data from Swiss banks, but we were not in a position to do that. I can take you back to 2010 when there was a famous WikiLeaks, and that Julian Assange has narrated that Pakistanis, according to Swiss finance minister, Pakistanis has a balance of $500 billion in Swiss accounts. Then there was a petition in Supreme Court of Pakistan filed by the then Senator Muhammad Ali Durrani. He was also Information Minister, and he filed that Pakistanis has this much balance abroad, so please do some measures to bring them back. And that petition was triggered again this time to take this suo motu action by the present Supreme Court. And rest of the things were merely the additions and the riders. So we were, dear audience and my fellow Pakistanis, we started this journey in 2014, and we wanted to become, in fact, we have made a commitment that we will be the signatory of CSR. Most of the countries, they were not trying to avail this opportunity, but we wanted to, and in 15, appropriately, with folded hands, Sikandar Bhai, it was purposely we have gone. We were not avoiding that. We have gone and we said we want to be part of this deal. It took them 6 months and then they conveyed, okay, you change your law and show us the draft. So after 15, we simply had an opportunity to incorporate an amendable law through budget. And that comes in the mid-2016. Again, with all the conscience, we prepared the draft. I was part of the team. And then we incorporated that very thing in Finance Act 2016, which was reviewed by OECD. And then they gave us a go-ahead signal, and the document was signed in 2016 September. There's a gestation period for few information for 1 year and then for the full-fledged member for 2 years. So it is not, with due respect, it is not that we wanted to avoid. One thing which is a misconception on the part of general masses, that politicians and bureaucrats, they wanted to avoid this because they've got their filthy money abroad. So market, even in this scheme, I'll demonstrate that we have not allowed them. We have said, look, if you are a holder of public office, in last 10 years, it is a big period. You can't claim, even your spouse or dependent children can't. So I'll just go through this document, and then from there on, I'll take your question. It is a very, very interesting scheme. I'll not take much of your time in presentation. In fact, I'll allow you to put questions, and I'll be glad to reply to the best of my knowledge. So can you move on to the slide? There are two distinct laws. One for the foreign assets. So please don't mix the concept of residence or non-residence. We have geographically divided them. In fact, certain concepts may have been mingled, but they are appropriately defined and have been clarified through subsequent documents. Mind it, we have got two kinds of assets: hidden assets, not because of the fact that people wanted to do it, but because of the fact that there was lack of enforcement. Let us concede that bureaucracy is not nek parveen. And vis-a-vis, my taxpayer is not also very sacred. So it was a perfect match to hide your assets. Now with this global ring fencing and insulation of tax treaties, especially OECD and FATCA, we have no space to hide. And maybe in 5 years down the road, they'll be socially boycotted. And their assets will be confiscated in other jurisdictions. So it is a fear. देखिए ना पाकिस्तान की नफरत में ये पाकिस्तान से बाहर पैसे लेके गए थे, ना मोहब्बत में ये वापस ला रहे हैं. Whatever we say, it is a window which we have given to the masses to behave like a good boy. We had two options. A child who don't want to go to school, we have two options. Give him a candy floss and make him habitual of going to the school, or use the stick. But in my humble view, that should be the last option, because after that there is no option. You have to kill them, you have to shoot them, which we can't do for a social crime, for a civil crime. So this is a candy floss, and I am quite positive that my countrymen will behave properly and will make this scheme success, because I again reiterate, Pakistan needs you. Again, the second scheme is basically local assets. By local asset, I mean those assets, those who have created their assets out of Pakistan source, or maybe remitting money or repatriating money from abroad as well. And they have not declared it. So in other words, this is a unique scheme. Out of the 11 amnesties came from Pakistan, which has only one significance, that is asset declaration. So in my humble view, this is a unique law. A unique law because it has a sunset clause. It will die down automatically on 30th of June unless we extend this. Unless. I'll come to that. But what I'm saying, this window is a unique window. And first of all, this legislation was made once we signed in 2016, my countrymen, I wrote an article in Business Record on October 16, 2016, offshore asset, a bullet to bite. And you can find it, this is a unique title, offshore asset, a bullet to bite. You just go to Google, search it, and you will find the entire article. It was almost 3/4 or 2/3 page of Business Record, which is a big thing to get it published. Nonetheless, that was almost an award-winning, and that became the talk of the town. And we wanted to make it feel to the public that some amnesty is coming. It was supposed to come last year, but because of 11th hour appearance of Panama leak, it went to the back burners. Now again, in this budget we researched, and in October 17, Shahid Khaqan Abbasi Sahab, the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, called us, myself, Masood Naqvi Sahab, and Abid Shaban, and he discussed these amnesties, law of which we have already prepared. So we said, okay, look, you can just put these caveats and you can go ahead with it. Then comes the suo motu action of Supreme Court, so they went again on the back benches, because it was on some other connotations, that how to repatriate that money from abroad, which is practically it was impossible. After a thoughtful or a careful analysis, this ordinance was announced on 10th of April and benchmarking the date of 9th April, and has a sunset clause of 30th June. Then thereafter, it was re-promulgated and it was inserted with the consent of the Speaker of National Assembly in the money bill. It was passed and now it is a law. Again, going through the history of this novel concept, which I would say, although it is inequitable, and I pledge on oath that I have always paid my taxes and I will not declare my amnesty. I have no assets to hide. We just did it to save the tax culture of Pakistan, to boost economy of Pakistan, to give proper declaration of assets to the Pakistan. I can tell you one thing. The quantum of grey economy in Pakistan is almost the quantum of above board economy, or which is the GDP, real GDP of Pakistan. The real GDP is around 318 billion. And the contribution of direct tax is almost 1600 billion. So if we are in a position to surface half of the grey economy and translate them or switch them to a real GDP side, it will definitely contribute to our tax to GDP ratio. Hence, this was a thoughtful exercise which we carried out, and in my humble view, although I am not a beneficiary of it, and I'll not be benefited, but if it is benefiting my country, I'll be more than happy. So we have introduced this reform package. Next slide, please. It includes area covered, all foreign assets for a local one. I mean, suppose if I am a Pakistani and if I am a tax resident of Pakistan and if I bought an apartment in, say, UAE and if I have not disclosed it, it was a fashion कि जी हबीब मियाँ ने लिया है तो कलीम मियाँ ने भी अपार्टमेंट लेना है. वो एक जब सोशल गैदरिंग में they used to sit, oh, have you bought an apartment in Dubai? No. Oh, no. So it was becoming a fashion to have an apartment in Dubai, तो मैं आ जा सकूँ, मेरे रेसिडेंसी वीज़ा होंगे, और कुछ फरूक भाई जैसे हमारे दोस्त जो यहाँ आ ही गए फिर. Then for locals, again, if I am saying कि जी हम बहुत thoughtful, we went very thoughtful. There are certain undisclosed income because their stocks are not on the books, their other assets are not on the books, and the earning therefrom was also not visible in their tax returns. And mandated in Pakistani tax law, strictly speaking, a tax officer can go back to 6 years and he can open your case. So it was a threat that suppose if we will make this amnesty a success, the next question will be, what will happen to my past? So we said, like, give them a window. Give them a window. Don't leave this issue in lurch. फिर हमने कहा undisclosed local assets. गाड़ी है, घर है. And even I have seen so many other assets, gold, cash. People are, I mean, a client of mine came to me 3-4 days back, and I narrated this example at ICAP as well. He came to me and he said, sir, I have a physical dollar balance of 2.5 million. Unreported, undeclared. So people have that kind of assets, hidden assets, undisclosed assets. So we said, okay, let's clean the mess. Let's clean the mess and give this window as well. Then people said, I bought a house last year, or some real estate traders, they said, we want to just sell it next year. So we want to avoid this capital gain. We said, okay, you revalue your assets and pay us 5%. So if you go up, देखो, perfect law I can't make, वो अल्लाह की ज़ात कर सकती है. So whatever possible avenues we have found, we have plugged. Whatever law lacunas we have found, we have plugged. Wherever we feel that they will be at the mercy of bureaucracy and especially FBR, we have clipped their wings. So, for all practical purpose, we have ring-fenced this scheme in a way that if a person is availing with honesty, he will not face any consequence in the future. Now, the timeline, it is applicable till 30th June. Today in the lounge, when I was coming, our finance secretary was going to Tehran. From Dubai, he was going to Tehran. And I requested him. 3 days back, we held a detailed meeting with Shamshad Akhtar, the Honorable Caretaker Finance Minister of Pakistan, State Bank Governor was there, Chairman FBR was there, key people of FBR was there. And we argued that. We said basically, time is a little, it is a race against time. So if we want to win this battle, you have to extend. I mean, मगर उसका एक तरीका कार होगा. I said, Madam, you have given an ED of 5% dollar devaluation to my countrymen. Now take something out and allow them to avail this extension of maybe 15 days. But in no case I will advise them to go up till 31st July, because I have seen the fate of this amnesty and I am continuously watching that when we introduced this concept, when ordinance came, people said, this is an ordinance, yaar. Then it was presented to Parliament for approval. People said, nothing, yaar. Ye kya hai, yaar? It's a piece of legislation. But then it was approved as a Finance Act. They said, yaar, wo Supreme Court dekh rahi hai. Then Supreme Court has approved, okay, chalo yaar, with heavy heart we are approving it. Then they said, कि आपको पता है अगली हुकूमत आके खोल देगी, तो उसका मेरे पास कोई इलाज नहीं है. And if we, I mean, my suggestion, I don't know what is going to be the fait accompli of that very proposal. If they want to increase it by 31st July, I will be the first person to say don't do it. Because 25 को आपका election है, then this slogan will again be circulating in the market. Oh, भाई अगली हुकूमत आ जाएगी यार, उसमें देखेंगे क्या करते हैं. So, with all fairness, in all fairness, I think this should be the timeline. But okay, I know we are in a Pakistani culture, so कोई बात. But again, this shall be through some legislation ordinance. Next slide, please. Now, tax rates. You all are aware of these tax rates, and we can cover them in questions to avoid time. I mean, if you want, I can narrate them, and I can. कि 2% है आपकी, 5% है local amnesty के लिए या उसके लिए आपका. Foreign assets के लिए, we have liquid assets not repatriated, 5%. For immovable, we have 3%. And if you are transmitting or repatriating your dollars in Pakistan, it is 2%. Again, today we'll have this dollar bonds rules issued. Again, if you intend to invest in dollar bonds for 5 years, you will get 3% semi-annual, 3% annual, but payable on semi-annual basis in your rupee account. But the biggest question is that will it be translated into rupee at the end of 5 years, or you will be allowed to take it in dollars. Again, this offer is for the local dollar available in the accounts as well. And all other assets, including revaluation, stock, cash, jewelry, 5%. Now, the biggest hallmark of this scheme is confidentiality. Next slide. देखिए ये वरी है कि जी मेरा कॉन्फिडेंशियल रहेगा कि नहीं. दिस इज द फर्स्ट लॉ आई हैव सीन फ्रॉम एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड कि जहाँ जेल भी करती है उन्होंने, अगर किसी ने कॉन्फिडेंशियली, इफ समबडी हैज ब्रीच द कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी, विल पुट देम बिहाइंड द बार. तो दोज हु इंटेंड टू, लाइक सोशल मीडिया में आ जाता है कि जी भाई के इतने एसेट्स हैं, वो फलाना घर मैं 50 लाख में कैसे खरीद लूँ. So I think gossiping will die down. And I have never seen in past 11 amnesties that any declaration made by any Pakistani has been disclosed. So it is assured. And we have talked to the relevant people. I mean, I know in Pakistani terms who are the relevant people. They may not be on the surface, they may be behind the curtain. They have also said, come what may, we will not allow this. So, assured. Again, this piece of declaration will not be admissible as an evidence, which is again a very comfortable type of a thing for all of us, that, okay, suppose if tax authorities may say, कि आपने अपनी sales suppress की थी, and how they have arrived at, they can't open this document, and even if they have the access, they can't use this as an admissible evidence. So this is another comfort zone we have. Overriding impact. This is true, that it has an overriding impact on all the laws, sales tax, FED, I think local laws, because if there is a foreign law, and which is in conflict of a local law, the foreign law, as per constitution, will prevail. So, yes, but there is a full stop comma there. if it is a predicate crime, like narcotics, like smuggling, like terrorism, if money is created out of that, so it is not covered. This is FATF, Sikandar Bhai. Pakistani local assets, in that scheme, even a company or an AOP can also avail. But in case of foreign, we can't do it. Foreign scheme is a distinct asset declaration scheme. And local one is a sugar-coated amnesty scheme. So there is a distinction. In Pakistani, if for a Pakistani company or Pakistani partnership or maybe an individual, they can disclose their undisclosed income, they can get an amnesty out of that, companies can avail, and even trust can avail, because trust is also defined as a company under Section 80 of Income Tax Ordinance. So there are so many advantages which we have extended or enlarged to those who want to come into the band. Tax on foreign assets, Sikandar Sahab has also touched that, can only be paid out of your own account abroad, your account out of Pakistan, if you have a foreign exchange account and balance is there. The balance shall be the minimum balance of March 31st or June 20, whichever is less. So you can send, even if you are, there was a practical problem of operating foreign account from Pakistan, because most of the people have direct access of these foreign banks to remit their money abroad. So in that case, the field 72, which is very essential to identify yourself that who has remitted and on whose account, that was not available. So we said, okay, look, give us a check and we will accept it. Then again, a leniency was also extended by saying that, okay, a brother, sister, real sister, parents, siblings, they can pay their dues as well. However, we have fought it out, but I think my Governor State Bank is very much worried about FATF. I don't think, as Sikandar has said, I have agreed, I'm in complete agreement with Sikandar Sahab, that when there is an identification, there is no violation. So and it is routing through Dadaji. Nostro. Okay? So what I'm saying, again, we can't force State Bank of Pakistan, still we are trying to convince them. And let Bajwa Sahab comes back from FATF, he is there. So I hope, inshallah, Pakistan will get a relief, a sigh of relief. Now, value of, there is, today even, there is a problem, and they have purposely, I think, triggered that, for what reason, I don't know. KG, value of asset to us was basically cost of acquisition, or declarant has a choice of his own declaration. But today they have given another dossier which says that suppose if you have bought an apartment in Dubai for 900,000 dirhams and you want to show it as a cost, at the cost, so the value of dollar will be the value of date of declaration. Abhi aaya. 2 hours before, but then I have just WhatsApp this to FM ke ye kya kar rahe ho. Black's law mein likha hua hai cost of acquisition means historical cost. And even section 9 of the amnesty scheme says that this section is for the purpose of tax calculation, not for valuation. So you are inviting trouble, and inshallah some 5,000 wala lawyer will go to the court and will inshallah get the stay, and the entire scheme of things will go. Anyway, Asif has just informed me. No, they can file. No, they can file an additional. They have allowed it. You can file multiple declarations. So I'll not take Asif more than 5 minutes. I will left all these documents with Asif. He has the soft copies. You just write give your number or email. Asif, you will forward them. No issues. I am here. Asif, I am here. Don't worry. Don't worry. I am an ambassador of Pakistan like you. Don't worry. Sir, इसके बाद अगर आप देख लें, but आगे, can you move please? This is simply a procedure which you can read and you can understand. There is no rocket science in this. So next 2 slides were, कर दो यार इसको, next slide please. Again, these are the valuation mechanisms which have been defined, and I think they are very easy to understand even for bankers and chartered accountants and ICMAs and ACCAs. It is just reading and understanding. And the declaration form is very easy. You just create your ID, you download your own form, you enter your fields, you enter your amounts. It will generate a document. You can transmit that money along with your remittance advice. You email to State Bank and you will get the credit. So next 4 pages are again, in my humble view, they are the simplest of the things. But the deadline of a cutoff date is 9th of April, except Pakistani foreign currency accounts, which is March 31st. So it is very simple. We have to have a cutoff date. There are so many unanswered questions, which I expect this audience will, this August gathering will come forward with, and I'll be glad to reply. एक अब आखिरी जो रह गए हैं ये थोड़े से दो चीजें हैं. Can you, yes, citizen, who is citizen of Pakistan, Citizens Act. I don't want to spoil this sale pitch of Sikandar bhai. ठीक है, इसमें काफी complications हैं, 19 countries की भी आपने कही हैं. Yeah, yes. Mind it, I am giving a red flag here. America is the country where you are assessed for your world income, even you are not a resident. Okay? And I am privileged to attend some meetings, not in Pakistan. I have studied 40 jurisdictions around the globe. And out of that, in my humble view, 5 to 10 are considering to adopt that concept. And days are not far. I'm telling you, because of the shrinking global economy, people will opt for it. Right now, there is no, but it's a red flag, I'm saying. Resident Pakistani, Sikandar Sahab has elaborated that. Requirement of filing a will. This is a very common misunderstanding between Pakistanis. Just go through, mashallah, you all are very qualified. Just go through 4 or 5 sections of income tax ordinance and you are master in Pakistani taxation from your own requirements. One is section 11 subsection 5, which says कि जो पाकिस्तान का tax resident है, he has to file his global income return and global tax assets. Wealth. 11.6. A non-resident. उसको अगर पाकिस्तानी सोर्स की कोई इनकम है वो डिक्लेयर कर ली. 114 वो कहता है आपको ये you have to file return and these are the exceptions. Just go through it. 115 if you own a property In Pakistan, and if you are a non-resident, again you don't need to file income tax returns. 116. Every resident of Pakistan is required to file a wealth statement. 116 है इकबाल भाई माफी के साथ. Every resident from 2018 will be required to file his assets worth 100,000 or income more than 10,000. So it is very simple. और बहुत से लोगों ने खुद अपनी गलतियों से they have missed the bus. And literally out of 10 declaration we file, I have found only one declaration to be technical. Rest of 9 are very easy. And I have seen people, they come to us, they just get this clearance, and that's it. So it is very simple. मुझे ये पता है कुछ हमारे कंसल्टेंट बरादरी है वो बहुत डरा रही है लोगों को कि जी ना जाना मौत के फरिश्ते को घर का दरवाजा नहीं दिखाओ. They are saying, but please, ये आप मत समझ. If you are honest and you have, if you have a clarity in your mind that yes, I want to be part of a documented culture, don't delay. Then court of law, simply 3 court of law and appellate tribunal, high court and supreme court. नीचे अगर commissioner appeal के पास है, no issues. Any proceeding is running, no issues. Shares in foreign. Now there is a common phenomena that the company is in Pakistan, operating out of Pakistan. Shareholders are in, say, other jurisdiction. A company whose business is in Pakistan, but they are holding shares maybe in UAE jurisdiction, maybe in St. Kitts, Cayman Island, BVI. उस केस में वो फॉरेन एसेट है, लोकल एसेट नहीं. सो ये छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स हैं जो क्लियरिटी चाहिए. अंडर डिक्लेयर्ड एसेट आपको कहा मैंने, आप रिवैल्यू कर लें. बेनामी एसेट्स बिल्कुल कर लें. ये बड़ा एक कॉमन सवाल है कि जी यार मैं नहीं कर सकता, वो भाई से करवा दूँ. आई मीन सपोज इफ आई ओन एन एसेट एंड आई कांट, भाई के नाम से कर दूँ. No embargo. Now, the biggest glut was, can you believe, 50,000 से ऊपर वाले जो रेमिटेंसेस गए हैं, जो चीफ जस्टिस साहब ने, ऑनरेबल चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज इंक्वायर्ड अबाउट, you know what is the quantum? $15.4 billion. It's too much. So they have put a restriction, and wisely so, that you can't take $10,000 in a single tranche, and that will too be subject to a special sealing of an annual sealing, yearly sealing, which will be announced very soon. Before, I think, properties have been cleared. Now you have to come up with a fair value or some way in between. There will be a department which will look after, there will be a separate tribunal for that. So there are certain pluggings in the law as well. And I think, next slide please. Again, I have explained this, these both things. And finally, next slide. Again, with a request, with a humble request that Pakistan needs you. Please. Thank you very much.
We will have a prayer break, and after that we can go for the question answer session. Thank you. Prayers room is on mezzanine floor.